In our program, Jones and Company, and speaking today with Barry Rassen and Felix Stubbs, both leaders in Rotary International. Mr. Rassen, a former past president of Rotary International, and Mr. Stubbs, a past district governor. And, you know, after Hurricane Dorian, we saw a number of organizations in feeding programs and in providing building supplies and all the rest of it. And members of the community, I believe some of them, were a little confused as to who do I support? Do you find that that is a problem for Rotary?
Not so much for Rotary, but certainly you could see the confusion immediately after when everybody was trying to do the emergent relief efforts. And we had a lot of international agencies, we had some local agencies, and there wasn't enough communication. Mm-hmm. We need to do better at that. So we made an effort to reach out to different groups, whether it was the Lily Renee Foundation, it was Red Cross, it was the United Nations Development Program, IOM, to talk about how do you want Rotary to work with you? Because we didn't want to just go in and blindly do something. We want to coordinate our efforts.
Mm-hmm. And you find that that is, you're making progress in that regard?
Absolutely. It's easier now because a lot of them left. The beauty of Rotary is we're here for the long term. Mm. We were there on day one. We had Rotarians jump up helping evacuees get from Abaco to Nassau, helping them get registered at the airport, helping them get to the shelters. Each club adopted a shelter. And these Rotarians went out every single day doing this stuff. They didn't care what anybody else was doing. They just wanted to help the people who need help. Mm-hmm. And that's what we do.
You know, the people in Abaco in particular were hard pressed to deal with some of the issues in the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian. Some of them are still struggling. Some of them have not gotten back on their feet, so to speak, as a result of COVID-19. And you hear a lot of complaint coming from Abaco. Why hasn't this been done? And sometimes the government doesn't have the capacity to do all the things that must be done. Do you have a Rotary, a coordinating person on Abaco, for instance, to deal with these issues?
And you raise a good point, right? So like we just said, we've just started to ramp up some support for Abaco over the last couple of weeks. And there's a good reason for that because, as you know, more than 95% of Abaco is decimated. Mm-hmm. We have a Rotary club in Abaco, but because of the hurricane, they all came to Nassau or Grand Bahama or to Florida somewhere. And so there was no one on the ground to do anything, right? Then we had, like you said, COVID-19, so you couldn't get there anyway, right? And so it was only very recently where Rotarians have started going back to Abaco. And so we now have 9 active Rotarians in Grand Bahama, and in Abaco again, who are beginning to coordinate this stuff. And so now you'll begin to see a lot of activity take place. Because it is the people on the ground who actually do the work, right? They can get support from all over the world, but you gotta have someone on the ground coordinating. And so until you get a coordination unit in place, which we now have, you can't get much done.
Mm-hmm. And you want to do 50 homes, you say?
That's the plan.
50 roofs or 50 homes?
We want to repair 50 homes. Whether it's the roof, the windows, the doors, or whatever the repair that's necessary, okay. We want to get it done.
And all of this through volunteers who would be prepared to give their labor free of charge?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. That is a huge task.
We believe in doing huge things, right? Our desire is to help people, right? And it doesn't matter how difficult a task it is. If it is going to be of some benefit to that person, then we're committed to getting it done. And we would like to think that in Rotary, no task is too great. If we can eradicate polio from around the world, we can repair 50 homes.
You can do 50 homes in Abaco.
Yeah.
And you've done how many roofs, you say, in Grand Bahama? How many?
I don't have a number on Grand Bahama. We're in 4 communities. We probably have been working on 25 or 30 houses.
Yeah, I was going to say it was closer to 50.
50, okay. And they only did the roofs there because they worked so quickly after Dorian that they wanted to get as many people dry as they could. Whereas now enough time has gone by, let's just get the houses back together.
You know, we are in another hurricane season, and we are keeping fingers and toes crossed and hope that we do not suffer any damage or we don't have a major hurricane. But do you have Rotary contingency plans for every hurricane season?
Yeah.
Or you just wait until something happens?
No, so while people have their fingers and toes crossed hoping for there's no hurricane, we're planning, right? So we have, specifically to the Bahamas, we have a Bahamas Disaster Relief Committee that meets every 2 weeks, right? And they're managing projects that we have in the works, and they're also planning for any issues that happen in the future this coming hurricane season. In addition to that, we're supported by the district Disaster Relief Committee, who has the responsibility for planning for these kinds of things across the district. And that could be hurricane, earthquakes, and that we now have flooding, whatever the case may be, fire, riots. We're in a constant state of preparedness, right? And so we like to think that we're ready for anything. And then, of course, you've got the support organizations around Rotary International who we can call on.
So this calls for a lot of full-time work, Mr. Ross.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Full-time voluntary work.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, but I'll give you an example, right? So, for instance, myself personally, I know Barry's on more calls than I am. I spend probably about 4 hours a day now on calls, Rotary calls alone.
4 hours?
Either doing a meeting or some planning or something or the other. But, there's nothing to be on, spend 4 hours a day doing this. And I would say Barry's probably doing 8 hours a day because he's got much more responsibility than I have.
Well, the beauty, because of my connections last year of traveling, I'm getting calls from around the world. They realize that, wow, we're doing this by Zoom. We could have anybody come and speak to us. And so I've spoken to 20 countries in the last 2 months.
Well, tell them, Barry, because of Barry's travels around the world, after Hurricane Dorian, 41 countries called him personally to offer, Rotary countries called him to offer their support.
That is why I asked you if you have a coordinating office, because I don't...
Yeah, it's called Barry Rasson's Home.
As president, I had an office, I had staff, I had everything.
Okay.
Lots of resources. As past president, when midnight June 30 comes, you're on your own. But I've actually converted my garage to an office so I could do the kind of work that I could continue. Part of it is just motivating Rotarians and Rotaractors around the world to keep doing it. Don't get depressed by this. Don't get concerned by it. Look at the opportunities we have now to reach out and connect the world. That's an opportunity for us. Let's not miss it. And as I get them excited, then they go get others excited, and we keep doing what we do.
So you became a crisis manager.
I see myself as a motivator. I
A
try to
motivator.
get people excited about our organization, because there's lots of reasons to be excited by it, and then use that excitement, that passion, to get people involved in doing service. Our job is to make the world a better place to live for everybody. And that's what we continue to do, and I'll spend my life doing that.
As I mentioned at the top of the program, and I used to cover Rotary, and there were a lot of elderly men involved in Rotary. Most of them are no longer here, but do you have younger people who are enthusiastic about Rotary today?
Let me make my comment now because that's Barry's passion, right? Yeah, we do. We have an organization called Rotary, who young professionals from the ages 18, used to be 30, but now they'll go to whatever age they want to be. And so we're doing a better job of bringing them into Rotary. In fact, I just watched a Zone program yesterday, which Barry was a moderator, was a participant in, and talking about elevating Rotary to Rotary status. And the reason why we have that situation is because Barry was significant in getting Rotary to see the need to bring Rotaractors alongside Rotarians, but he can tell you about that.
Rotaract is our group of young clubs, young adults, like Felix said, from 18 to 30. Now we've taken away the maximum age, stay as long as, until you're ready to join a Rotary club. We challenge them to double their numbers. I don't like this 5%, 10%, little here, little there. Let's do this in a serious way. So we challenged them to double Rotaract clubs by the year 2022. That was a year ago. We've already got a 32% increase in Rotaract clubs. Now you're talking about a 250,000 people in that age range that are now, because of the changes we made, equal to Rotary clubs. So while you're right, Rotary clubs' average age is a little high, and now we're bringing in the younger ones who have the energy, they understand the modern world, they understand the digital world we live in. They can help us. We can help them with the experience that we have and kind of mentor them in their careers and what they're doing and in leadership. So we bring them along, they bring us along. It's a great combination of minds, which is going to help our organization develop.
And in the Bahamas, you talk about 250,000. I assume you're talking about international.
Yeah, around the world.
What is the rate of growth in the Bahamas and the extent to which you are able to get young people involved in the Bahamas?
I actually use our district as an example because our district has, what, 54 Rotaract clubs and 84 Rotary clubs. You go to any district in the United States, I'd challenge them, they don't have 6 to 10 Rotaract clubs. We're way ahead of a lot of parts of the world when it comes to bringing young professionals into the organization. And I spent the last 2 years talking about that and telling people you got to go out and recruit them. And they're looking at how to do it now, and they're doing it. And the Rotaractors are so excited. I can't begin to explain their excitement because they finally feel respected, not just as a program of Rotary, but as equals. And so they're going to prove to us that they're worthy of that. And they're recruiting and doing the things they should do. I went to some countries that they didn't show me Rotary project, they showed me Rotaract projects because they're doing such a good job.
There was a time in the country, in the Bahamas, when only men were involved in Rotary. And I know that for some Rotarians, men wanted this to be exclusive to men. But now you have women in clubs as well. I understand there's one particular Rotary club with no female participation. Speak to that.
I don't hold out against them, but in terms of women in Rotary, right now at international level, it's about 23% of the membership would be female. If you look at our district, Caribbean, we're at 43%. So we much, and if you look at here in the Bahamas, we're probably 50%.
50%?
I know in my club, 60% of my clubs is female.
60%? Wow.
And what we're finding is that the women who are coming in are actually coming in to do work, right? And just like in society, they come and they take over the club. And I think our clubs are better and stronger for it. Right? So I would encourage that. As to the club that does not yet have female, I mean, it'll happen in time. They're doing good work though, but they're all male. I think they can do a lot more if they brought some female on board, but they'll come to that realization sooner or later.
You know, as I mentioned, you know, there are some men who never wanted women to be involved in Rotary.
You still have that.
And you still have that. But you would say that women have added to the acceptability and the work of Rotary in the Bahamas.
Without a doubt. It's a difference.
I'll give you an example. My club resisted for a long time.
You're the East Club?
East Nassau.
Yes.
We resisted. And John Robertson and myself, we proposed 3 females, one being my daughter. And they really had no reason to reject. They took us aside and asked us, please don't. We did anyway. 5 men resigned from the club. But a year later, Sir Durward Knowles stood up in the front of the club. He said, you know, I was opposed to this, but now I see that I was wrong. This has been the best thing we've done in a long time. So they just have to expose themselves and realize that we represent the whole community, not just one segment of it. And when you bring that diversity into it, we're better for it. And we're going to do even better in the future as we continue to grow like that.
Yeah, there was a time when the men did the heavy lifting, and they thought that when they went into the community to do some volunteer work, it was mainly heavy lifting, as you have supplied water in Grand Bahama and fixing roofs and that type thing. So you'd have women doing the administrative work then?
A little of both.
Both.
Yeah,
I mean, you have female engineers, you have female carpenters, you have female electricians. And what they do very well is they do an excellent job of coordinating and planning. Right? I find that women are very meticulous and they plan things down to the nth degree. And so the projects are better planned now. Right? And we get better results.
Remember, we went out as a group to paint the AIDS headquarters. Half of us were women, half men. Everybody painting and cleaning up and doing what we had to do.
And we have,
Didn't matter.
I've seen females using machetes cutting bush down at the Girls Guide Center to clear paths. And they throw their weight in.
Yes. So you've taken on numerous projects in New Providence, I remember.
We have.
You had Abilities Unlimited.
We've done work with abilities.
Yes.
Sure.
And many other organizations have benefited from the largesse of Rotary in terms of the donations that you get here in New Providence, in the Bahamas, I should say. You say that is augmented by what you get from Rotary International, but I'm sure you can do better fundraising here.
You can always do better,
Yes.
right? It's a small community, so there's a lot of competing agencies trying to get funding. What I usually say to people that I ask money from is that, you know, your money could be much better spent if you were to give it to Rotary for several reasons. One is we don't have that overhead cost that a number of agencies have. So when we say we're taking $1 for you, you can bet, you know, almost 100% of that dollar is going to go to that project, right? In addition to that, we have the ability to go to our foundation and match those funds dollar for dollar, right? So we're not just asking you to spend all your money on our projects, we're putting our own bucks into that as well. And most of the money that comes into the foundation has come from the pockets of Rotarians.
And corporate Bahamas is very generous to us.
Yep.
When we have a project, make a few calls and you're going to collect some money.
Yep.
They do it quietly because
But they
if
do it
we
because
talk who does it,
They do it because they know Rotary will.
yes, they know we do
spend
it well. But
Yeah.
if too many people know they do it, then everybody swamps them with requests. So they have to be careful about the publicity. But I mean, I look at KPMG just recently.
Yeah.
They raised money from around the world of KPMG and gave us $234,000 toward Dorian projects. They could-
KPMG International.
Well, locally
Yes.
created it and organized it, but they got KPMG in other countries to do it as well.
And the funds were turned over to Rotary?
Rotary Club of East Nassau.
Okay.
But it'll be for the Rotary clubs of the Bahamas disaster relief.
Okay. And is that money matched by Rotary International?
No, we didn't go to Rotary International for that.
Okay.
Part of our dilemma with the Rotary Foundation right now is the COVID-19 projects have drained the World Fund, and they don't open that up again until July 1st.
Okay.
So that's,
When I return, I'm going to ask you how you're going to have meetings of Rotary with COVID-19. We take this break here, and we'll come right back.